We got Big Ten QB battles still out there. I saw a post today from On3 where they were talking about QB battles that they still think are a thing. I disagreed with it quite a bit in some areas. So I said, you know what? Let's do a little bit of a stock report on the current QB battles going on in the Big Ten. So I look back at our February episode where we talked about each quarterback battle. I have brought those over. The only one that we are not talking about from that is the Minnesota battle. Don't think that's a battle anymore considering Zach Pyron transferred out. So I have, 8 different. We had 9. I have 8 different QB battles. Zach, I want you to tell me if you are buying that it's still a competition, selling because you know who the quarterback is going to be in that competition, or if you're not sure and you're putting it on hold. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So our first QB battle that we talked about back in February that still is at the very least a thing is USC, Jada Maiava, or Hasan Longstreet. Buy, sell, or hold.
This is like the biggest sell, I think, in the list. It's Maiava.
I have one more that's bigger, but yes.
Oh, yeah. You're right. There is one more that's bigger. It's absolutely a sell, though. Jaden Maiava is the starter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. That would be mine. All right, we'll get a little bit more difficult here. Purdue, Malachi Singleton, or Ryan Brownie. Buy, sell, or hold.
I buy that it's a battle.
Okay.
Yeah, like I think, and part of that I think is partially due to the fact that Purdue has no choice but to really drill down who is QB1.
I am holding this one because I think it's Ryan Brownie. I mean, you don't transfer back to not get the job, right? But at the same time, I'm also like, maybe he transferred back because North Carolina was just that awful. I saw a report today that said Bill Belichick might not be the coach there, game 1, which sounds ridiculous to me, but I don't know. The whole saga sounded ridiculous, so I don't know what to make of it anymore.
I get that thought about Ryan. Is it? I don't know if is it Brown, Brownie? I don't know.
Brown or Brownie. I've called him Brownie. I apologize if it's wrong.
We'll just call him the Brownie until we're mistaken. I could see what your point. I think he transferred more because Belichick. I think Belichick has jumped the shark.
Yeah.
Like
maybe.
I don't. Yeah. There's so many things I want to say about UNC that I shouldn't. So I'm just we're just
alone. It's not Big Ten. It's not Big Ten.
Yeah, you're right. We're just gonna leave that alone. Yeah.
Remember, we're talking actual football now, Zach. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. No, you might be right there, Philip. All right, I'm not gonna bring that up on the screen because I don't want to talk about it. But Philip, you might be right. All right, Ohio State, Julian Sane, or Lincoln Keenholz. I am selling this one, Zach. I think we know it's Julian Sane. I think that Ryan Day has done a good job of disguising it. I think that he's lied through his teeth a few times so far. And I do think that this is a good-on-good matchup. So I do think that Lincoln Keenholz did push Julian Sane, but to me, Julian Sane has the talent. He has the arm. He showed good pocket awareness in that spring game. And overall, he was the better prospect in that game. If Lincoln Keenholz had maybe had a, half a year of starting experience because of injury or something like that under his belt, but I just don't see how Julian Sane as a true freshman supplants Lincoln Keenholz on the depth chart as the third string quarterback. You lose the top 2 guys, and then Lincoln Keenholz is not the guy. And combine that with what we saw in the spring game. I know some people were wanting to make this into a competition. I just don't see it. I sell. I think it's Julian Sane. What do you think?
You remember when Ryan Day said that there was a competition between Gunnar Hoke and Chris Chuganoff and Justin Fields?
Yes. He was lying through his teeth.
Yeah. This is not. There's been one time in Ryan Day's tenure where it's been a true quarterback competition, and it's because the quarterbacks weren't good enough, and that was Kyle McCord and Devin Brown. Every other time, there has been a clear favorite, and even though sometimes the other quarterback had moments where they were really good, it was very clear this guy is the starter. And I think it's true too. I do think it's good on good. I think I think this is, I don't want to say manipulative because I don't think it's that. I do think Keenholz does bring a lot to the table. And so I think it is fair to say it is a competition in the sense that Keenholz has enough tools that if he completely transforms, like he could overtake it. But I think without that revelation, it is absolutely Julian Sane.
Yeah, and I think Ryan Day. I mean, Ryan Day is doing what every other head coach is doing, right? Make it look like a competition. That way, your guy doesn't leave, and that way, you're not left with a true sophomore and a true freshman at quarterback. You know, like that. That would literally be Ohio State's quarterback room: Tavian St. Clair and Julian Sane if Lincoln Keenholz transfers. So I don't think he wants that at all. So I think it's Julian Sane. Like I said, the spring game really said a lot to me as well.
Yeah.
If you want to hear more about that, I wrote an article on Scarlet Game, and then we also did a recap of the spring game. You can go back and watch that if you would like. All right, Zach, next, Justin Martin and Malik Washington at Maryland. I saw somebody ranked Malik Washington in the top 5 quarterbacks of the Big Ten here in the past week or two. I thought that was a little crazy because I do think this is a competition here. However, I'm not denying that Malik Washington has ability. I think he's a very talented quarterback. He was probably the 3rd best quarterback that was recruited in this past recruiting cycle. I think it probably went Bryce Underwood, Tavian St. Clair, and then Malik Washington. I think you could possibly switch up Tavian St. Clair and Bryce Underwood. I saw different recruiting services have different ones in front of each other. So, but that's at least what seems to be the consensus. And so I buy this as a competition, but I do lean Malik Washington. Where are you at?
Our guy Larry has, I think, has been on the Malik Washington hype train. And if he's on the Malik Washington hype train, I am also on the Malik Washington hype train. So I'll actually sell and say that I think Malik Washington is going to win the job. I've changed my mind on this. I was very much thinking Justin Martin was going to win this job, but I think the way he's turning heads in camp, I will sell and say that it's Washington's job to lose.
You think Washington top 5 quarterback in the Big Ten?
No. Listen, maybe I'm looking at this with rose-colored glasses. I think Julian Sane is currently better than him, and he was not top 5 according to this guy. So
yeah,
and that's just one guy.
I think we both had Julian Sane around 6th in our pre-spring quarterback rankings.
Yeah.
We might need to redo those, but I think I'd still have him around 6. Just a lack of experience for me, which Washington doesn't have it either. So
yeah. But yeah, he's not top 5. He's not top 9. He's got to prove himself.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to do the rankings at some point to really know. Okay, Michigan, Zach, Bryce Underwood, or Mikey Keene, who really did not practice at all this spring, had himself a little injury. Jaden Davis was the backup. I don't really think it's a competition between Bryce Underwood and Jaden Davis, though. But Mikey Keene still getting a little bit of talk. Are you buying or selling this?
Oh man,
hold. You could say hold too because Keene wasn't in.
I'm leaning sell, but I do buy. Here's what I buy. I buy that they wanted Mikey Keene to battle with Bryce Underwood, and they've lost that opportunity because of the injury. But I'm selling. I think Underwood. I think Mikey Keene lost his advantage because he couldn't actually participate with the offense in the spring. So I'll sell.
I do have a slight hesitancy to hold because Mikey Keene did not transfer out. However, Mikey Keene could just be one of those guys that has come to terms with the fact, I'm going to be in a blue blood program, backup quarterback. That is going to be more enjoyable than being at Fresno State as a starting quarterback. Not everybody would make that decision, but it could be his decision. So I agree. I'm going to sell and say that. Philip, you are exactly right. He says there are some wild and awful Big Ten quarterback rankings out there. Yeah, me and Sonny are going to talk about that, I think, here on the Locked On Illini, if not tomorrow night, but maybe next week, because the Luke Altmaier disrespect has been real, and it needs to be addressed because I don't know what some people are thinking not having him in their top 5. It's just absolutely insane.
He continually is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in not just in the Big Ten, but in the country.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Which one did I have next? I had Wisconsin. Okay, this one's easy. Wisconsin, Billy Edwards or Danny O'Neal. Sell Edwards. I just put it on here because both those guys are still there, and we talked about it before.
Who's going to be the third string quarterback?
I don't know.
Because both these quarterbacks.
Braden Locke.
Yeah, I say both these quarterbacks might be done halfway through the season because of how brutal the schedule is. But no, I think it's Edwards. I think it's Edwards.
That offensive line was pretty good last year, so as long as they can hold up, but
yeah, that's fair.
We'll have to see. They don't have their left tackle. I think they still have a position battle for their left tackle right now. I think it's going to be Bruner. I need to double check my notes on that. Don't hold me to that. Wisconsin fans, don't get mad at me in the comment section. I don't have my notes in front of me. All right, last one, Zach. Oregon, Dante Moore or Austin Novosad?
I'm selling, but it's more because I think if Dante Moore isn't the quarterback, I actually have more concerns about Oregon. So I think it's more.
This is honestly one of the reasons why I did not rank them in my top 5 of my top 25. I had them just right outside of it at 6. I think they have a lot of good talent. I think they're going to have another really good offensive line this year. As long as they can sustain that throughout the entire season and not skip a beat at the beginning like they did last year. But I think this is a battle. I'm buying this one, Zach. I think this is more of a battle than some people are giving me credit for. The way people talk about the Julian Sane, Lincoln Keenholz battle, I think they need to talk about the Dante Moore, Austin Novosad battle. I watched that spring game. Austin Novosad and Dante Moore, neither of them looked good. Now, that is not always indicative of a player's abilities. Justin Fields looked bad in his spring game when he first got to Ohio State. There's a multitude of quarterbacks that didn't look good in their spring game. So I'm not saying that they won't be good. However, I did not see one quarterback separate from the other one. I've heard a lot of hype on Dante Moore, and I've heard a lot of people be very excited about him, but I did not see that in the game. Now, it could be a product of the way Oregon did their spring game, where they had, the team split up like Michigan did. I think that was also a product of why Bryce Underwood, wasn't exactly the most accurate in his. Still displayed a wonderful arm, but threw the ball high in many of occasions. So that could impact Dante Moore and Austin Novosad, that maybe they didn't have guys they were throwing to all spring. But still, I mean, there were concerns. I think if you're an Oregon fan, there were concerns with what you saw from the quarterback position in the spring game. And neither quarterback came away making you say, yeah, this is definitely the guy. At least that's from the perspective I have. I know people are really high on Dante Moore, so maybe Oregon fans wouldn't say that, but that's at least the perspective that I have. So I'm still buying that this is a battle.
That's fair.
I lean more though.
Yeah, so that's fair.